give a quick shout out to Terry Funk, obviously, who it's been kind of announced that he's sadly going through dementia. Don Morocco had said in his podcast that Funk's dealing with dementia and is now staying in an assisted living facility in his hometown of Amarillo, Texas. And then Mike Johnson, PW Insider, confirmed the news and noted that he's been dealing with health issues for some time, but things have deteriorated since the passing of his wife, Vicky, in March 2019. I did see a kind of funny, light-hearted thing where Tommy Dreamer said that he was on the phone to him last night, and Terry Funk's been kind of tickled pink by all the reaction that he's got and is wondering if he can somehow work all the buzz that he's created into an angle, which is kind of the story of Terry Funk's career, that he still...
For another comeback, right? Another payday.
For another comeback, of course. But I mean, Terry Funk is because the first time I ever saw him was when he came into WWF in 97, 98 as Chainsaw Charlie. And then obviously I watched more stuff back and afterwards. But I mean, he's been around so many eras. He's done so many different things. I mean, Terry Funk has got. I almost feel like he's underrated because people don't talk about him as much as maybe they should, because he's more than just a guy who falls into barbed wire and sets himself on fire.
Oh, absolutely. One of the greatest ever. I mean, back in 2013, I did an article in the magazine called The 10 Greatest US Style All-Rounders of all Time. And Terry Funk was on the list. Of course he was. Now, there's a guy, never mind Madonna or Chris Jericho. There's somebody who was the master of reinvention, certainly in pro wrestling. And you go back and look, he started in the 60s, just went to all the different territories, was a guy that in many ways was very most memorable for his runs as a heel, but was an amazing babyface as well when it came to sympathy seeking. We talked about this on the podcast the other week when Riddle, actually it was last week, wasn't it? Riddle suffered the injury in the match on Raw. And then he goes backstage and gets bandaged up, and then he comes back out, the heroic comeback. That's the Terry Funk spot. That is the thing that he was renowned for in the All Japan Real World Tag League tournament. And just so many stellar, outstanding moments in his career, whether it was NWA World Champion, whether it was, the feud with like Dusty down in Florida, the matches with Lawler in Memphis. I mean, they were still doing business like as late as like 1989. The famous All Japan retirement in 83, I think it was, which did unbelievable business up until his retirement there. He was like the most popular foreign wrestler there, teaming with his brother, of course. The incredible Real World Tag League tournament finals and contributions the Funk brothers made to that tournament, the success of that tournament, which was for a time the biggest tag team tournament in pro wrestling. They're a huge part of that. Then, after he brought the retirement, and Vow, of course, made the comeback, actually had a run in WWF in like 85, 86, which a lot of people forget about. Actually had a match with Hulk Hogan on Saturday night's main event, which I watched recently. Really entertaining match, actually. Funk worked so well with Hogan. It was kind of maybe a little bit comical for it to be a pay-per-view main event, but really perfect for that scenario that it was in. Then, he had a run in the acting biz. Obviously he was in Paradise Alley with Sylvester Stallone, the wrestling movie I think it was about 78 that came out, 79, which was like, I don't know whether it was Stallone's first movie after he won the Oscar for Rocky, but it was a movie that was expected to do a lot better than it did. I don't think it actually did that well, but he had a huge role in it, and lots of other wrestlers were in that film as well. So, he was in Roadhouse and various other films. Then returned to action in WCW. One of the most amazing sneak attacks in wrestling history on Ric Flair after Flair had beaten Ricky Steamboat at, I think it was Music City Showdown. It was the May 1989 WCW pay-per-view. And Funk had been one of the judges at ringside, and he came in. It's just an amazing angle where, Flair's there. He's a baby face. He's saying to Funk, I'm not saying, Funk's saying, well, I'd like to challenge you for that belt. And Flair's there saying, well, hold on a minute, you're not in the top 10. You're not in the WCW top 10. And that's what I'm looking at. Funk's like, so you're saying I'm not good enough, aren't you, Rick? And Flair's like, well, no, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. And then Funk's like, well, put it there. Let me just want to say I shook hands with with the world champion, and then drills Flair, does the pile driver on the table. People think like Flair's really suffered a broken neck. Flair like sells it for weeks, takes like a load of time off in the run up to their big grudge match at the Great American Bash 1989, which was, I think, the biggest money show in WCW history at that point. I mean, I know WCW was still a fairly new company in July of 89, but it ended up doing like a really good buy rate. Incredible match, amazing feud. And I've got to say, Flair Funk, the Clash match they had in November, the I Quit match, Clash New York Knockout, probably the best match that year, certainly in America. Absolutely outstanding. If you haven't seen that match, watch it today. And that's like 89, 90. And he retired then.
And there's so much that he's done.
Yeah, I mean, it was a huge part of the success of ECW. Amazing run with FMW. Had the match with Anita in '93 that drew was it just over 40,000? I think it drew, and like tremendous run in Japan. Doing stuff in ECW, and just and then, as you said, the run in WWF. Which was just came from out of nowhere, and he's like a star again, and carried on working